everybody. I'm Lauren Kalil with Morning Chalk Up, and today we are interviewing 15th. She placed 15th this year at the CrossFit Games. We have Emily Rolfe, Canadian Games athlete. How are you today, Emily?
I'm good, thank you.
What's it been like to have a little bit of an off season or unwind, decompress, and maybe enjoy the rest of summer?
Yeah, it's been great. I mean, the month of August was super fun. Did whatever I wanted, ate whatever I wanted. It's the athlete's dream after a big competition.
Have you started to get back into training now that, we're about a month and a half out of the games?
Yes. I would say last week was kind of my first real week of training, double sessions, actual intent in what I'm doing in the gym. So I'm feeling it. My body's hurting, but it's getting better already. So.
Probably like a nice hurt to go back to that and actually feel like your muscles are working again.
Yeah, I feel like an athlete again. So that's always good.
Are you somebody that, after the games, you're excited for that rest time and to unwind, or do you start to get antsy waiting to get back into the gym?
A bit of both. I think this year, it seemed kind of long, and we trained pretty hard for the game, so it was definitely nice to take some time off and unwind. But on the flip side, after I'm competing with all those girls, you kind of get hyped. Like you want to go home and you're like, oh, I want to work on this and I want to get better and I want to do better, and it kind of relights a fire too. So it's a little bit of both.
Yeah, I can imagine. And, when you made your debut back in 2019, finishing 19th, then we went into the 2020 season. You did qualify through Wadapalooza, and then everything started to change with the global pandemic and your dreams of going to the 2020 games, even though it was a condensed version, were kind of stripped away as you then approached this whole virtual and online training without being in person. So what was that time away from in-person competition like for you?
I think it was good for me as an athlete. I did do the games just at my gym, because at the end of that season, I was like, oh, it's good closure. I'm just going to go through the workouts and do them.
Sure.
And then I did a couple online kind of competitions throughout the end of that year. And then of course leading into the open and quarterfinals, and my semifinal was also online. So as an athlete, usually I compete better live. That's kind of where I thrive. So it was actually really good that I had to perform well enough to move on to the next stage. And so I kind of had to improve, I guess, at online competitions throughout the year. So I think it was beneficial looking back.
It's always good when you can find that little bit of the silver lining in this whole thing.
Yeah, I think, I mean, it's not nobody's choice, I don't think, especially semifinals when some were live and some weren't. It was a little bit of jealousy, I guess. Like, oh, they get to compete in a real competition and we don't. But looking back, I think it was good for me.
Sure.
And as long as it doesn't happen next year again.
Right. Let's all get back
to. Then I won't be so understanding.
Right. Exactly. 1 year of it was okay, but we want to get back to that in person. And, just when you went into the Coliseum and just seeing all of the fans, I'm sure that just kind of reignited that passion for in-person competition.
Yeah. It was pretty cool.
Yeah. So I think one thing that is even really interesting about you is a couple of things, of course, but you're not just a CrossFit Games athlete, but you also work in the health profession. And you were doing that during the global pandemic. So what was it like working in a hospital during COVID-19 and training for the CrossFit Games? I mean, those are two things that involve a lot of stress, high pressure. I can't imagine just doing one, let alone both. So kind of walk me through how you took all of that on.
It was hard. I mean, working in the hospital, you see firsthand what it was doing to people, and it was scary. I'm not gonna lie. But I think I kind of used CrossFit and training for the games as my outlet too. And I think that was how I kind of rejuvenated myself and, didn't get too stressed out about what was happening at work or what was happening at the gym, because I could switch stressful situations and go to the other one and forget about the last one. um, and then I think it easy in a way because everything was closed, right? So it was like, well, what else am I gonna do anyways? Like, may as well make some money, work, and train. Like, what else? You're not traveling. You're not like, you're not going out. Like, so it was easy to stay disciplined in that regard, I guess you could say.
Yeah, I mean, so incredible, because then finally 2021, you make it back to the CrossFit Games again through all virtual competition. I'm sure that there's kind of a transition that needs to happen once you get back to in-person competition when you're away from it for so long. But I mean, you hit the ground or hit the water going fast. Event one, you take a fourth place finish. Did you feel those nerves being back in person? Because I mean, if you did, it's incredibly impressive to then take home a fourth place win on the very first event.
Yeah, I mean, whenever you're competing, well, me, speaking for me, like whenever I'm competing, you're going to be nervous. Like that's a given. And I wouldn't say the games or live was any more nervous than online, honestly, because there was so much riding on like the qualifiers to make it to the games that makes it a little more nerve-wracking. And I think not knowing what your competitors are doing and not knowing what their times are, and you know nothing when you're competing online. So in that regard, that almost makes it worse. And I think when you're standing side by side next to someone, you're it's easier to compete. So yeah, event one, it was good.
Yeah, having the pressure of your competitors. And for that one, it was the men's field and the women's field. Going into that, it was actually the kayak portion that pulled you ahead of the pack from being kind of sitting in middle for the most part of that event. Did you, going into it, know that you would be so strong at the kayak portion of that event?
I knew I'd be okay. I knew I'd be good. I grew up like my parents, we went camping, we went kayaking. My parents own kayaks. Like we used to play around in them all the time. But I thought everyone could probably kayak. Like it's not a hard skill to be able to do. So I didn't know that it would really shoot me that much ahead. But I also knew like it was long. I think it was 3 miles or something. Like, so I knew it was going to be a really big mental test, like, because it's so easy to just kind of ease off and be comfortable. And to go fast, you kind of had to go the whole time. And that's a long time to stay in it.
So now you're thanking mom and dad for all of those long kayak days while you were going camping as a kid. And you're like, wow, that really paid off.
Yeah, I think I sent them a message after the event. I was like, cheers for that.
They're like, yeah, you're welcome. That's what we were planning for the whole time, as we knew something big was going to happen.
Yeah, and they kind of laugh because CrossFit's kind of like that, right? Like it's not like a standardized sport. Like my mom did track and field. She threw the javelin. She knew going into a competition, you're going to get 6 attempts and you're going to do exactly what you've practiced every single time. Whereas my sport is like, I don't know, we might do this, we might do that. Like there's, and they kind of laugh about that. And then, something comes in handy that you did when you were 10.
Yeah. Was that kayak different than the ones that you grew up in, though? Because the ones at the games you kind of sat on top of, where I know anytime I've gone kayaking, you're in it about to like belly button level.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah. But it doesn't change how you kayak.
Okay.
Really.
Interesting. I've never tried it out, so I wouldn't know.
Yeah, unless you're in like one of the whitewater ones, which are quite a bit more tippier and your feet are like crunched and they're not very comfortable. Those are quite a bit different. But these classic like cruiser kayaks are you can go to Costco and get one. They're pretty similar.
Okay. Maybe I'll have to pick one up, take it out as like a hobby in the summer here.
There you go. Games training.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Games 2050. Okay, so you have day one, it wraps up, you guys get a rest day. And Friday morning, you wake up, things aren't feeling too good. Without going into too much, graphic detail, you weren't feeling well. Something was going on. Kind of tell me what the heck happened.
I work in the medical field, so I can give you detail.
Yeah, I bet you have them all to a T.
Yeah, so they think it was probably E. coli from the swim. And I guess that's normal. It kind of hits you 48 hours later. Like I would have thought you'd get sick the next day, but Thursday, the rest day, I felt like a rock star. Like it felt good. Went to bed excited for Friday, and woke up at 2 a.m. very, very ill. And so I knew Friday was going to be either I drop out or try to just get through it somehow and then make it through the cut, and then hopefully by Saturday I'll be feeling better. So that was kind of what I did. My coach found out the minimum work requirement for the first couple events just because we didn't know. Yep. I had at that point I had lost everything, like severely dehydrated, no food in my system, like couldn't hold anything down. So that was the plan.
How do you mentally get through that day? I mean, knowing that the biggest competition of your sport, and after not having this since 2019, I can only imagine what's going on in your mind. How do you not just push through mentally, but also physically feeling ill?
Yeah, so I mean, it's devastating. Like you've trained all year, and then the one day you get sick is like, not now.
Yeah.
So yeah, mentally it was very hard. I remember my mental coach sent me a message during athlete brief when I was still lying on the ground. And he said, remember the story, Michael Jordan got food poisoned a night before a big game, and he was very, very, very sick. And then he got up and played one of his best games, right after he'd basically been on death's door. And he's like, so you can do it. And I was kind of like, well, if he can do it, maybe it is mind over matter. But yeah, it was terrible. It feels like you have the flu, and then we all know CrossFit is kind of self-inflicting the flu half the time. You go through workout, you feel sick.
Right.
So
you're actually sick, or was it the workout?
Yeah. But it was kind of I knew, okay, this will probably pass. Tomorrow or Sunday, I'm going to feel good. And if I'm out, I'm going to be sitting in the stands, really pissed off at myself, And when you look back, it always doesn't seem as bad. I just saw myself Sunday just watching when I should be competing, and me thinking oh, I feel fine now. I want to take part. Now I can't. Now I have to wait a whole nother year. So let's just suffer now and just get through somehow.
Well, the good news is that you did get through. And then, your weekend even got better with taking home that event win for the toes to bar running event. And that was right before they cut the field to just 20 athletes. Knowing that back in 2019, how aggressive some of those cuts were, and you facing the cuts yourself, what was going through your mind going into that event, just knowing that there were potential cuts on the line, and that you had to go all out and then eventually take the win?
Yeah, so 2019, I made it through the top 20 cut, and then of course they cut to 10. So you kind of remember how that feels, It's pretty savage. They call you over, and they call your coach over, and he has to give his wrist, and they just snip the band off, and they're like, you're done. Yeah,
not a great feeling, I can imagine.
So going into that event, I knew I was going to make the top 20. So that was not a worry at all. It was more, okay, I know I can do well in this event. I want to win it. So it was all about how well can I, it wasn't even in my mind about the cut at all. It was more just I want to win this event.
What did it feel like when you in fact did win the event?
It felt good. I won an event in 2019 too, and it like very different because this event felt like I had overcome so much more because of what had happened Friday and how sick I was, and yeah, it just felt like I kind of came back, and it was a cool like redemption workout for me.
Would you say that because you won, that was your favorite event of the weekend, or is there another one that you actually enjoyed doing more?
Um, I enjoyed the handstand, the free whatever, the
Yeah,
circus one.
free handstand one. Yeah, you walk on your hands, you do a handstand push-up, go to the next ab mat.
Yeah, I enjoyed that one until the very end when the deadlift got very heavy, but that one was kind of fun. But yeah, obviously an event that you do well in. Yeah, looking back, I enjoyed that one the most. Yes.
So you go home taking 15th place overall. What was your expectation going into the games? Did you meet your expectations and goals? What did you walk away from the games feeling like?
Well, two different things. I walked away feeling good. I mean, given everything that had happened, I had an injury the last day, tweaked my knee, and so the last few events were a little bit of a struggle to get through. And like considering all that had happened, I was quite pleased.
Mhm.
But I will say, going into the games, my goal, I knew it was a lofty goal, but I wanted the top 10. So came short of that, but couldn't really complain considering.
Sure. And now going into the 2022 season,
Mm.
what are you working on? What are some of the goals? What's this next year going to look like for you?
So more of the same. Working on the things that I'm not so good at. Those never change, unfortunately. Not I haven't run since that event of the games.
Wow.
um Partly because my injury, and partly because not doing things that you're good at, right? Like
Mhm.
putting more time and energy into things that I'm not so good at. But yeah, looking forward to doing a couple of the off-season competitions, Rogue, and then Wadapalooza for sure. We know right now, and yeah, that's the
Any
plan
other
going into
ones?
next year.
Any other ones that you're thinking about but not positive yet, but like ones after Wadapalooza?
Oh, I have no idea. Haven't even thought that far.
You're just getting back into training. You got to think week to week, right?
Yeah. We'll do Rogue first, and then we'll see what's on the horizon.
Yeah, Rogue is coming up shortly. And then even the Open is only about 5 months away now. Can you believe it?
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, the off season for me, it feels like it just flies. Like
Mhm.
maybe it's because it was playtime and it was fun. I don't know, but yeah.
Awesome. Well, Emily, thank you so much. We are so excited to see that you got back to the games after a year of so much uncertainty and unknown. It's good to see things turn back to normal, and we look forward to seeing you at all of the CrossFit events. And good luck to you.
Thank you.
Take
Thank you so
care.
much. Bye.
Bye.